Welcome to the Private Lenders Podcast with your host from Hard Money Bankers, Jason Balin and Chris Haddon. This podcast is sponsored by hardmoneymastermind.com.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Private Lenders Podcast. We appreciate it. Chris and Jason here, as always. If you haven't done so already, check out lendrsoftware.com, lender loan management and servicing software. The founder, Bryce, is a member of the Mastermind group. He's a lender himself, really sharp guy. Go check out lendrsoftware.com and mention this podcast to get a discount. All right, today we're talking about growing the right ways and the wrong ways, and specifically using salespeople, sales team, originators, partners, like the many different ways that you can structure your sales expansion. Because frankly, we've tried out all of them that we could think of over the years. We're going to break down each one, what worked well, what didn't, how to grow the right way. Because frankly, in the industry, we've seen plenty of people grow the wrong way, putting out heavy volume, doing lots of marketing, heavy volume in markets you don't know, using a call center, not even having true underwriting. We've seen there's a lot of it going on now. And in the past, we've seen plenty of lending companies disappear from growing the wrong way. So we're going to break it down today.
Yeah, this is a very hot topic in the Mastermind group. And when we've done live events, this is something that comes up regularly. Sometimes it comes up because hard money lenders believe they're in smaller markets and they're not 100% sure how to expand. And maybe they want to expand into other markets, or maybe they need more people. And like over the years, we've, obviously have done a lot of different things, and we've tried, things. And it's, to be honest, it's a hard position to hire for or to find. And the reason why is this is a risk management company, right? And on one side, you want to wear your sales hat. Hey, let's go find deals. Let's go do all these deals. Let's get paid on all these deals. But on the other side, you got to wear your underwriting hat, and you got to be conservative, because until a deal pays off, you don't know if you made a good decision or not, right? So, sometimes it's hard to find a salesperson for this job because, they're out there, they're finding deals that quote unquote meet your requirements, but then you might be like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not comfortable with this deal. And it's challenging, right? Because if you find somebody that's valuable and is a good asset, like they got to make a lot of money, right? So it's hard. So let's talk about a few things we've tried, things that didn't work and why, and what actually does work and what we've seen work over the years. I mean, we've literally, like Chris said, we've tried everything. We've had lead intake people where in essence, like leads would come in and they would just do a lead intake form. We've had brokers send us deal. We've had outbound loan officers. We've had junior loan officers. We've had internal reps, K1 business partners, internal loan officers, brokers, probably said brokers, but private. We've done private label stuff. So I'll tell you a few things that didn't work first, and then we'll talk about the things that do work, because I think that'll be beneficial to everybody. So we never had success with any lead intake people. So leads come in and you pass, and the phone rings and you pass it off to somebody and they ask 10 questions, and if the person's qualified, you move them to yourself or to somebody to keep it going. The reason we felt that never worked is a lot of the real estate investors we talked to, they wanted to talk to a higher level person or somebody who really understands the business, either to get knowledge from them or just to see what's just a decision maker, more or less. So we felt like that never worked all that well. I feel like we would have missed out on a lot of opportunities because these real estate investors, they want your opinion on stuff and they want to go over things with you. And, I don't know, that one never seemed to work great. We've had internal loan officers that came from the broker business. So I'll give you an example. They had a book of business. They were brokers. They wanted to work with us kind of exclusively. They came in and in essence, their job was just to bring in their business that they're already doing with other ones. That didn't work out great, mostly because they only wore their broker hat They didn't really wear their loss mitigation hat. And they were just like, oh, hey, we should do this deal because this. They only looked on the pro side because they want to make a quick commission, and that was it. And that was, a little bit frustrating. It wasn't like we were our goals weren't aligned. And, we're constantly turning down deals. I mean, this is a numbers game, right? Like, I don't like scaring people when I tell them how many deals that we have to look at before we can close, but it's a lot. And that's a little bit frustrating when you have you have somebody who's working hard to bring in business, and then we're telling them no, 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 no. So that wasn't kind of a good fit either. We had an internal loan officer once that worked out well, right? Worked out great. Like, they worked for us, and there's pros and cons to it, right? The pro was they could handle, and they were smart and educated, and they understood the business, and they're good. And their job was just to run internal leads, right? But then we had to go find lots of leads for them over and over and over and over and over and over. The downfall that we had with this particular person is they were motivated by money until they made too much money, or until they made enough money where they stopped being motivated. And we were like, yo, you're making 120 grand a year. Like, his goal was to make 10 grand a month. And he got to a point, and then he stopped being motivated after that. So, like, after a certain amount of time, it was like, what are we going to do? Like, we're missing out on a lot of opportunities because, you grind until you hit your goal, and then you're done.
Yeah, I mean, that arrangement, let's break down that one because it did work. I want to back up real quick and emphasize something that you said before, is that you can't have people inside your organization working leads and trying to do deals that have that broker mentality where they're just trying to sell you on the deal. They do have to have a certain amount of risk management and underwriter approach to it. Now, are they as good of an underwriter as you are? No, they're not going to be. That's absolutely fine. But they have to care about the risk. And we're going to, towards the end of this, get into the setup that we prefer. And that has a lot to do with risk. But like, bringing somebody in-house just to try to sell you on doing deals is like really counterproductive. And one of the arrangements out of the few that we mentioned that Jason just covered, when we had an internal loan officer, the majority of his lead flow was in-house, coming from the company. And he also worked leads himself. Like, he was at the networking meetings, he was following up with clients, like he was doing a lot of biz dev as well. And we worked out a commission split that worked. He made 6 figures. It took a lot off of our plate in terms of lead flow, especially in that time. We had a ton of lead flow. So that I would call a successful arrangement. He did end up moving on. He left the company like, I don't know, 2019, 2018, something like that. He left the company, moved on to another part of the industry. But all in all, it was a good 5 or so year run. It was a successful relationship.
Yeah. And no doubt. And I think something like that, here's the challenge. You want to find the right person, but you got to pay them real money. Mm-hmm. And there's no point of just, dilly-dicking with the wrong people and not making, it's just not going to work out, and it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be frustrating. And we've learned that a lot of folks that came from the mortgage background, broker background, and they think like brokers, don't work out. And I hate to say that, but like, they just sometimes don't.
I'd also like to throw in an observation that kind of came to me during this conversation, and then we'll get to the setup as we see being the best one. I don't think I've ever seen a situation where this worked out part-time, where the salesperson or originator was part-time in this thing. I know we've had a couple attempts at that, didn't work out, and the opposite is true too. When people go all in and they're the right kind of person, invested in the right way, they can make moves in this. They can get their own personal portfolio to 10 million. We've seen it repeated over and over within our company and also with other people in the Mastermind group, but it's all in. It's like you get up and hard money lending is your entire goal.
Yeah. And the other thing related to that I was going to mention was everybody just wants, oh, hey, let's just get this person, let them go find a book of business and it'll work itself out. Like, it takes time to build a book of business. So that's a hard way to do it. And nobody wants to pay a draw or a salary to get this thing up and running. So that's challenging to kind of do. And on the other side, most lending operations don't have unlimited lead flow that's coming in that they can just pass it to this person, right? Some do, and that works. So anyways, these are let's go through the 3 ones that we use today that work, and take it for what it is. You could potentially do this in your own market. You could potentially, this could be a way to expand into another market. So I'll tell you what the 3 are, and then we'll go through all of them. So the one is Dave, that's in our office. The second one is K1 partnerships, and the third one is private label setups. So let's go through the 3 of those. We'll start with Dave. So Dave originally came on as a property inspector with us in our office. He was involved. He was doing a lot of real estate development stuff himself. He wasn't really looking for anything kind of full time. We were looking for a property inspector, and we started with that. And over the years, we've expanded to do some other stuff. If you've ever come to one of our live events or ever done consulting or in the Mastermind group, you probably talked to Dave because he's our program director as well. Like, he's in the hard money lending every day, like Chris and I are, right? Like every day we're doing hard money loans, and we're teaching about how to do hard money loans. And Dave as well, right? Like, he's kind of become a partner in all of these outlets as well. And he also has a book of business as a real estate portfolio book of business, through Hard Money Bankers. And some of them are from deals, internal leads that he gets. And some of it is just, him grinding to generate business himself. And I think it's important for this particular person to do both, not just be reliant on incoming deals, but actually go out there and be proactive and create a little brand under themselves, through your lending company. And because, Dave's primary job inside Hard Money Bankers is originating and doing deals and not back office stuff, it gives him the ability to do more hands-on things with the borrowers like we used to back in the day. And I would encourage everybody to continue to do. Examples: go to meetup groups, go do property inspections, go do lunches with borrowers, meet up with their contractors and try to get referrals from them. So he's created a really good book of business
over settlements, which
is
rare.
Go into settlements. He's been able to create and generate a good book of business because of that. So yes, we're still we still hand off incoming leads, but he also has a book of business and runs his internal leads because of that. So if you're going to try to bring somebody in-house, number one, they got to be someone that you can, pay a good amount to, that makes sense to, and, do some sort of split where it's like, hey, when you're getting started, I'll give you some of my repeat business, to help, turn into deals, right? So instead of just paying them out of pocket, give them some deals, give them some leads, have them make commissions that way, but then also make sure they're motivated and they're self-starters. They can go generate business themselves.
Yeah, and it works so well with Dave because he's the right person, the right personality. He has the goals to make it work.
That's right.
That setup is still growing. It's just a few years in. He does wear a few different hats, but all in all, it's going great. All right, you want to dive into K1 partnerships?
Let's do private label, then we'll do K1 partnerships. So private label is something we came up with a few years ago because we know a lot of other lenders locally, and they either don't have the capital backing, they lost capital because they were selling stuff to institutional lender, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. But they're folks that understand this business and they're constrained by capital for the most part. That's probably the best way to say it. And we don't have an exclusive arrangement with them. They can use us when they want. They can't with somebody else. But one of the things is, and maybe they had sent us deals in the past, and maybe, this is a broker. If you're thinking inside your business, maybe this is even a broker that you've done a lot of business with, not a one-off broker, but like a local broker that does a lot of business and you'd like to do more with. So we approached some of them and said, hey, listen, we'd like to do some more deals with you. We'll work with you on the terms and we'll brand this under something besides Hard Money Bankers. And the reason why is if they're out there branding Hard Money Bankers, those people can just come to us directly. So they want to brand something that doesn't really, just a separate entity, a separate name. And then everything will filter through them and it goes to us. And we, they make, typically like a point on the deal, plus they make part of the servicing fee, 1% on the servicing fee. The important part of having them make money on the servicing fee is they're tied to the deal and they get paid on it every month, right? So they're creating a book of business and they're getting residual income on it. And no other broker or mortgage, setup would do that typically, right? So that's attractive to them. And they can quote the same terms that we're quoting, right? So before, they bring a deal to us, they get, they charge $12.99 and three. We charge $12.99 and 3 points. They go out, they add another point to it or point and a half to it, and then it gets a little bit expensive for the market. But in this case, they can charge the same thing. So we've had a lot of success with that. We have 2 private labels set up, and we're kind of onboarding a third one.
Yeah, and another benefit for them is that, these people that we've have this arrangement with are either current or former lenders, right? And they kind of don't want to broker. They have their own brand, like they're known as a lender here in the DC area. They kind of don't want to be seen as like they're brokering to HMB. Everyone knows HMB, everyone knows them. It's not the best look for them to do that. So this way, under the white label, they're the lender too. They have the same email address for that company that we do, right? And so they look like a loan originator for a lender. They don't look like they're brokering to another company. And that's very valuable for them. It's an attractive arrangement for them. And so far, it's been going pretty well. I wouldn't call it like a super like grand slam, but it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, that's right. And the goal of this is to get market share, right? Like we're, most of the lenders that we know, they're not out there doing hundreds of millions of dollars, right? They're, anywhere from 5 million to 50 million, give or take. Like that's typically the sweet spot for this. We're all about, quality stuff, as profitable as be. It's not just about doing tons of business. So like if we can get, a handful of deals from both private labels a year, like it's great. That works out great. It's a good source. So the last one in our favorite, but certainly the hardest is K1 partnerships, actual business partners that help create offices on your behalf. These have all happened organically with us, and it takes time. And in essence, we put up the capital, we do all the stuff back office, and we split everything 50-50. The ups and the downs, the wins and the losses, right? So if we do a deal and we lose money, 50% is coming out of their pocket, just like 50% is coming out of our pocket. And, new bank accounts, new business entities, everything. Like this is for the right person. This is someone like, you're in a market and you want to expand into another market, and this person's already got local market share or market presence there. They could be a good opportunity to work with. Now, these people weren't people that we just found on the internet. Like these were, friends of friends, college friends, things like that. Like people that wanted to be full-time hard money lenders. That was what it turns into. This isn't a part-time thing. These guys, breathe, eat, sleep, hard money lending. And their full-time job every day is go out, get deals, talk to borrowers. Let's get deals moving forward. And they do lots of social media. They do a lot of video. They do a lot of content. They do a lot of marketing. They go to a lot of meetup groups. Their job, 90+% of their day is finding opportunities, finding deals. So,
and there's also a good bit of underwriting too. Like it's not only a sales job. Like they have risk in this. They are on MLS in their local markets, comping properties every day. Like they are underwriting. Granted, they have us as a backstop. Everything is going to be run by us too before it ends up closing. But they're underwriting on the front end. Absolutely. Here's how we should structure this. Here's why. Here's compensating factors. I like these comps for this deal. Like they are underwriting too. It is not just like them trying to sell us on doing deals. That would be a terrible arrangement, right?
Yep.
Wouldn't work. But out of all of the setups that we've talked about for expanding in this way, this is easily the most successful one that we've seen.
Yep.
And we've seen it repeat a few times now. For us, it's been 3-4 times bringing someone on in this arrangement where they oftentimes open up a new market where they're the lending director for that area, and they have all the contacts. People know them. Like Ian Walsh, for example. Ian Walsh is better known in Philly than we are around DC, probably. Like he's been on the scene forever, especially at the beginning at startup time. And yeah, it's been fantastic. And we've seen that growth per partner in that new operation, that new market scale up to 10 million. takes a couple years, takes 2-3 years. It's a grind, and then loans pay off and you're trying to keep that amount outstanding. But the financial arrangement works really well. It has gotten some of our partners to a place that they haven't been able to get income-wise in other niches inside real estate, because, private lending pays really well. If you play your cards right and you do safe deals, don't lose money, charge the right amount of rate and points, there's good margins. There's plenty to go around. So the financial results for our partners as they've come on over the years have been very good. So it's got to be the right person, though. Again, it's got to be the right mix of like aggressive in sales side, but also has the personality to be able to underwrite something. Some people just don't have that personality. They're not going to stop and analyze a deal and decide if it's good or bad and why, right? It's tricky in that regard in terms of personality type. Also, where someone is in their career, because we're looking for talented people who know what's going on, and for them to be available to do private lending full time, it doesn't happen all the time. It's kind of like oftentimes a transition. They're getting out of one niche of real estate or getting out of one niche of sales or finance and looking for another opportunity. And if the timing works out, you can pick up a great partner with a great arrangement. Works well for everyone long term. Our stuff with our partners at HMB already is long term, and it's going to continue well into the future.
Yep.
All right, guys. Anything else to add?
No.
Yeah,
I think that sums it up. I mean, I think this is a good topic, and this comes up regularly. I mean,
in the mastermind,
weekly in the group, and it's not easy to generate business all the time, but this is a marketing play. This game, you need to find lots and lots and lots and lots of deals, endless deals. I know that's hard to do, so you can leverage other people to help you with that. So I think that's why this is an attractive strategy for a lot.
Yeah, I hope you guys got some good tips in terms of the do's and don'ts of growing using salespeople. We hope to see everyone inside hardmoneymastermind.com, and we'll definitely see you here next time on the podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not intended for legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.